What's up, y'all? Sparta here. For this video, I want to talk some Pixel right now, and I'm recording this on the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, something I haven't really done. So, let me know how everything looks, especially on this like overcast day, as you can see here, as the phone overexposes the sky, as phones typically do. But yeah, just let me know how it looks. All this other stuff. I'm walking to work right now. But yeah. So with the Pixel 8s, Pixel 8, Pixel 8 Pro, people have been talking a little bit, like postulating about whether or not next year there will be a Pixel 8a, because of how drastically close the Pixel, like, because the Pixel 7a and the Pixel 7, like, this thing here, the Pixel 7a and the Pixel 7, were pretty goddamn close. Like, there was really nothing aside from the larger sensor that you got on the Pixel 7 that you could really sit there and say was a net benefit going to the regular Pixel 7 instead of the 7a. Unless you also just wanted, a glass build instead of a plastic build and other stuff like that. The Pixel 7a has like a slightly larger battery. The camera is a 64 megapixel camera, but it's a smaller sensor. It's not a small one. It's as big as almost as big as like an LG V60. So it's not like one of those old generation 64 meg cameras where it's like a small one. But overall, when you look at it, it does bend down to 16 megapixels, which is nice. So you do get a little bit more resolution compared to the Pixel 7. But overall, people are sitting there. People that sat there with the 7a and 7 are like, what is really the point of getting the Pixel 7 if the only things you lose is, sure, a nicer sensor, nicer main sensor, but everything else, because it was still 90 hertz and all this extra stuff too. Both screens on those phones were. And when you look at the Pixel 8 and the Pixel 8 Pro, where, okay, the Pixel 8 now has 120 hertz, and the Pixel 8 Pro also goes to 120 hertz as well. It's just obviously they have the Pixel 8 will just go down to 60 hertz when you're not touching the display all that much, whereas in the Pixel 8 Pro will go down to 1 hertz, I believe. 1 hertz. I believe that's how that works. And yeah, overall, people have been sitting here and they've been postulating things like, oh, well, will they put the Tensor 3 in a Pixel 7a? And I don't see why they wouldn't. To me, that would be kind of weird for them to have this line that, okay, basically each and every one of the phones are on the same base level. It's just they're for different price tiers. And why would they still utilize the G2 if they want to push the notion of you basically get the power of the Pixel in a cheaper package? And with all the generative AI stuff they're pushing with the G3, I'd assume that they'd want to push that also to a potential Pixel 8a. And plus, I don't think they want to sit there and support the Tensor G2 for like 7 years of software support like they're doing with the Pixel 8s. So that's going to be that would be a real interesting play to me. And it just doesn't really make sense. what kind of, what's kind of weird, right, is that what I kind of feel, I don't necessarily think a Pixel 8a really makes sense this year or this upcoming year to put out, but they're most likely going to put it out due to how they're positioning the regular Pixel 8. Now, a lot of people might think, oh, that's just a bad play to not do that, but honestly, I don't see them not phasing it out eventually. Because sure, while it's a nice price tier to have a phone in, and the A series has definitely been one of the lines of phones within that price tier to push a lot of things forward. I feel like there are other things that the Pixel line is doing, that Google is, or the Pixel team is doing, in terms of like keeping features away, hardware features in particular, that to me just doesn't really make sense. Like, I put this in my community tab. I really do believe that not having even like a last generation periscoping zoom lens on the regular Pixel 8, I think is kind of scummy. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'm not gonna sit here and not give you guys what I believe when it comes to that, because it's odd to not have that, even if they use like an Xperia, like the Xperia 1 Mark IV's, the Xperia 1 Mark IV's telephoto lens, and just not have it do 4K 120 or something like that. Because maybe the Tensor can't handle that, I'm not sure. But overall, to me, it just doesn't make sense to keep something like that just to the Pro. Now, it makes sense if you're like, okay, we want a telephoto on a Pro to do things differently than the telephoto on the regular Pixel. That could make sense to me, because you look at something like the Xiaomi 13 Pro compared to the 13 Ultra, right? Where the 13 Pro's telephoto has a different kind of photographer focus compared to the telephotos on the 13 Ultra, where you have that larger 5x zoom lens that can work very well in low light and is very high resolution and makes things look very nice. You could have delineations in that way without completely axing a hardware feature like a telephoto lens, or at the very least put a better ultra wide on there. I think putting a 13 megapixel ultra wide on a $600 phone is kind of criminal these days. Like, it was something that was like kind of odd on the LG V60, where you have this main camera that's fantastic and can take fantastic 4K 60 video, but then you have the ultra wide that's horrendously gimped by comparison. And I just don't necessarily think Google doing this, oh, but look at our pixel resampling that we do with our crop zoom on our main sensor, I don't really think that's enough. Because crop sense, here's the thing, I'm one of the people that when the V60 was getting slagged for not having a telephoto camera or a zoom lens, I was one of the people saying and demonstrating that the crop zoom on the V60 looks as good, if not sometimes better, than say the iPhone 12 Pro Max, 13 Pro Max, their zoom sensor, because one, LG didn't sit there and put a whole bunch of sharpening on top of the already horrendously cropped in photo. And they also didn't slather a bunch of like auto mode HDR crap on it and make it horrendously noisy. I was one of those people. So believe me, if a crop zoom can do very well, I'm for it. The 13 Ultra's crop zoom is 2x crop zoom or even 2.5. Looks really nice. Almost to the 3x zoom. Looks very nice. But it's not going to beat having a dedicated sensor for that. It's just not. And no matter how much pixel resampling you do, or touching up you do, or like in the background processing you do on top of the photo, it won't change that fact. I would much rather have a separate telephoto lens that I could further crop into than just keep cropping into the main sensor and have that photo just look terrible. And that's honestly what the 13 Ultra has pretty much been teaching me now. And it's something that I also got from the Xperia 1 Mark III, where the Xperia 1 Mark III, when I compared that to the S21 Ultra's telephoto, you know, the one that people say, oh, Samsung is just the king of telephoto. You're the king of zoom. If you want to use that for actual photos, it was shitty. Like, I'm sorry, it just was. And I've demonstrated that plenty of times. You know, I'm not going to sit here and talk about that even more, because that's stuff that you can just look at on my channel. Look through my community tab and look at things like me comparing, me taking a photo of my friend's pet lizard with the S21 Ultra with its telephoto and the Xperia 1 Mark III with its telephoto, and you can just see which one actually fares better and which one looks like a photo that I would actually use compared to one that looks like it came from an FMV off of a fucking PlayStation 1 game. But overall, though, that's all I really want to say for this. Overall, I really do think the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro look very good. From the videos that I've been seeing and some photos that I've been seeing people take, it does quite well. The things that I'm worried about are things that I've been noticing from the Pixel 7a here. And what a lot of that has to do with is whether or not the night mode activates when it really needs to. Because what I've been seeing a lot is that on this phone, I could be right under a light source. But yes, obviously it's at night, but I'm right under a light source. And the Pixel 7a will still turn on night sight, whereas my Xiaomi 13 Ultra just won't. Now I know all the 13 Ultra has a dramatically larger main sensor, obviously, right? But if I were to do that on the V60, and I know this from experience, it wouldn't do that. It just would not do that. But that's all I really got to say for this. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys feel about this. This is Sparta. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, whatever time of day it is in your area. Have a good one.